So I feel like this story isn't being talked about enough. Apparently, the White House has admitted that we do have teleportation technology. They put it in some mysterious wording. You got to see this. Let's get right into it.
24 hours of each other. Donald Trump says we have secret weapons that nobody even understands. Trump chooses his words very carefully. You can always tell when Trump gives a little bit too much and then pulls back. He says we have weapons that no one even understands, which is an interesting way to talk about a weapon, and that it's more powerful than anything on Earth. Now, this is a president who regularly talks about nuclear weapons and their capacity. He does so in a very different tone. On the heels of that, Ashton, we have the White House chief technologist saying we can annihilate distance. We can manipulate time and space. Sure as hell sounds like teleportation technology to me, as somebody who's just reading the literal words. Here they are. But again, I haven't made a career looking into this stuff. Can you please unpack this for me?
Sure. Yeah, the Trump thing, I mean, he's telling the absolute truth when you hear him say, we have stuff that nobody understands. And when he just does a shrug and says, yeah, nobody's going to do anything. I mean, that is the most confident thing that I've ever seen Trump do. That would scare me if I was one of our adversaries. He's not exaggerating at all. If anything, he got talked to after that, and they said, hey, dial it back a little bit.
I was saying that in my other video. It doesn't seem like he was bluffing at all.
You're letting a little bit too much information out there. And then when Krastios, he's the science and technology advisor to the president. He has this letter. I read it, I thought it has to be out of context somehow. It's actually even crazier in context. He says, we have stagnation was a choice. He's saying that we said, you know what? We've got to slow our technology down because we found this technology that's so powerful, we're not ready for it. And he comes out and he says, we're capable of so much more. And like you said, it leaves distance annihilated. People are out there coping, saying that he's talking about telephones and the internet. He's not talking about telephones and internet. He was talking about propulsion and transportation right before that. It really can only be one thing. And manipulating time and space is manipulating gravity. They're one and the same. This was so on the nose. The reason why everybody's reaching out to me today is that it almost feels like he's directly talking to me. When you look at this quote right here, like you said, what comes to your mind? Manipulating time and space, gravity manipulation, leaving distance annihilated, teleportation, allowing things to grow. There's this weird connection to plasma and like plants growing faster. The way he phrases it there is not like a business growing. It's like something actually literally growing. And then productivity, AI. When I think of
Like, what else could this mean? From you see, this is officially from the White House, whitehouse.gov. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow, and improve productivity. What else could that mean? Like, seriously.
productivity, I think of AI. So for me, looking at this, I don't see another context that this makes any sense, which makes it so mind-blowing. I think that we are getting soft disclosure. They're warming us up to some of these ideas of advanced technology existing beyond our paradigm.
Again, you're just blowing my mind here. I suppose this would be the right time to. So I want to get to this video, but I wanted to begin with just building the foundation.
Yep.
That this is something that the White House is now openly talking about, and that these are very serious people and professionals and the most powerful people on earth. You've never heard Trump talk like this about nukes. You've never heard White House technologist chiefs talk about annihilating distance or manipulating time. Those words have never been spoken. Now they're saying it. So you're saying they're soft prepping us for perhaps an introduction to this technology. What would that look like?
Let me say this. I said this on live stream yesterday. I have seen an email that was Marco Rubio was on it. He's currently the Secretary of State. He was the senator at the time I saw the email. And that email indicates that he was essentially briefed about these videos. I'm not going to say exactly what's going on in the email because it will go back to my source, but email shows Marco Rubio knows about these videos, knows about MH370, and knows about the technology at play, including the origins of this technology, which goes back to like the Soviets in the 70s, scalar weaponry and technology like that. There are other people on the email I'm not going to mention right now. The other thing I want to say is that I know for a fact that the administration knows about this stuff, not just from the Marco Rubio stuff as well. Like, just imagine a scenario in which there is, let's say, a military member who maybe they're in the administration, maybe they're not, but they've been exposed They've seen stuff that they know isn't normal technology, but they're not read in on it. And they need someone to understand, how is this possible? I need to be able to go to meetings where people know about this stuff, and I got to be able to play along. And so, you imagine, well, who are they going to call to figure out, hey, how would this stuff theoretically work? Probably someone like me. So I'm just throwing out there that I know for sure the administration knows about this. And here's the big rub about it. Why are people not making money off of it? Why are they not selling it? Why are they not making it apparent? This is national security. We can't beat around the bush on this. When you talk to Annapolina Luna and the other congressmen and stuff like that, they know it's national security as well. When those people are doing the UFO hearings, they know that the energy source is national security.
I mean, he's right. It is national security. And this makes me think about Bob Lazar. If you haven't heard about Bob Lazar, he claimed that he worked at Area 51. He said that the UFOs that they found were absolutely ancient, like thousands upon thousands and thousands of years old. So if that claim is true, and that's what they were working on in Area 51, it wouldn't be far-fetched that they could have did some reverse engineering and got some extremely high potency technology, because how else would we have such a big breakthrough? I do understand that we split atoms all the way in the 40s, but how the heck would they come up with some crazy technology like this? I know that Nikola Tesla did some free space energy and that is possible, but how would they be able to do this without reverse engineering from somewhere else? It blows my mind.
The moment you see those orbs of plasma circling around the plane, in order to create the plasma ball where it's structured and not just dissipating like a lightning strike would, they've already cracked fusion. This means that they have perfect control over plasma to the point where, why are we making fusion reactors with these big metal donuts? They can make fusion happen just with a ball of plasma floating around in the sky. That's what those orbs indicate right there. This just completely, speaking of the word annihilate, annihilates the whole UFO community narrative. Is that the reason why they've been hiding this stuff isn't because of aliens. It's because they've figured out what we would call free energy. They've cracked fusion. They figured out how to get energy just from the hydrogen atom. And the way they're doing it here is something called a low energy phase transition. The crazy part is everyone thinks you need this huge amount of energy to create a wormhole. But look at the temperatures of those orbs. The temperature on that thermal, they're green, blue. They're like the background temperature. If that was like a sun or a star, it's going to be white hot. So actually, those orbs at a relatively low energy temperature or low energy level, and then they're going down instead of up when they converge on the plane. You guys can even ask Grok this. Here's the craziest part. When I asked AI about this, just fed the scenario. These are double layer plasma balls, meaning you have a positive and negative charge that are separated in your plasma ball, causing it to act like a lightning strike. When they converge, their energy levels increase and they act like the sun, where the magnetic fields, if you look at the magnetic fields in the sun and they break and they twist, same thing's happening with those orbs. When they reconnect, there's a massive release of energy, and this causes space-time to break down. When space-time breaks down, and this is going to be very scientific, but the refractive index of the medium, the rate at which light moves through the medium, changes. And when the refractive index changes, the ground state of the hydrogen atom, so the hydrogen atom's ground state is here. When you manipulate space-time and you squish it together, the ground state of the hydrogen atom goes down. And because of this change, there's a release of energy. The previous ground state of the hydrogen atom, let's say it was 13.6. That's the ground state of the hydrogen electron. It goes down to minus 20. There's a difference now of minus 7 electron volts per electron. That is a negative energy event. So what they're doing, they're squeezing space-time down right there. What this does is it causes the energy, the ground state of the energy levels of those plasmas to go down, and this releases ultraviolet radiation. Why is that zap black right there? Because ultraviolet radiation is not visible in thermal. That's why it's black. And in the other video, you can see a flash of light. That light being ultraviolet and black is basically the dead giveaway that this is a negative energy event. That's a real wormhole.
So they choose their words carefully, especially somebody who read this speech, and it's on camera. This is totally real. This is from the White House's website. This guy is a very serious person who gave this speech. And so he chose the word annihilate there. And I'd like to focus in on that. Leave distance annihilated. The definition of annihilate: to destroy utterly, to obliterate, nothing left. This is Oxford. So it's not that we've shortened distance, like we've made a really fast plane. Okay. It's not like we're condensing distance, like we're breaking distance barriers, like sound barriers or so on. We're destroying distance doesn't mean anything anymore.
Correct.
Am I following what he's saying there correctly?
Distance is an illusion. So the former director of Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, the secret projects where they do all the secret advanced stuff back in the 90s, Ben Rich, he said straight up, we have the ability to do anything you've seen on science fiction, anything you've seen in the shows. And so if somebody asks him, how is this possible? How would teleportation be possible? And he says, how is ESP possible? And the guy responds, time and space or distance is an illusion? And he says, exactly. What we think of as distance is an illusion. And how do you unify all of these concepts? You say, oh, there's an extra dimension of energy all around us all the time. In fact, this extra dimension of energy gives space-time its form. What we see all over around us isn't nothingness. We are in a medium of energy. We just pushing it around. And the way we push it around is magnetohydrodynamics, magnetism. You
referenced the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, and I watched that video in show prep. And the guy says, we have Star Wars technology or Star Trek technology.
Yep.
Now, he's saying this in the 90s or the early aughts, which he's not talking about laser weapons, because we've had those since the 40s and 50s. We've had weapons that can be mounted and used as laser. That's not what they're talking about. If you're talking about an actual Star Wars or Star Trek technology, you got to be talking about, and you're not talking about space flight, because we've also been able to do that, right? Since the 60s and since actually the late 50s. And so if there's a guy who's a part of this Black Ops program telling us about 2 decades ago, we have Star Trek technology, it sure stands to reason that it'd be something like this. Not like we have a laser or we have a spaceship, because that's not something secret at all. And so then it begs the question here, Ashton, which is the applicability of this suddenly makes all militaries obsolete. Okay, so I can just take your fleet of airplanes and zap them. I can take your aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier, obviously the most useful weapon in modern warfare. I think you could say, arguably, to project power. You could just those become obsolete. Is that what you're saying? We could transport our weapons into mainland China, right? Without anybody seeing or knowing. Is this the application?
Yeah, it's even crazier than that. It's hard.
This is mind-boggling. Can you imagine if they could use technology to literally just defeat an entire military by teleporting them to the middle of space, or just teleporting them to another dimension? That would be absolutely crazy and change the entire world forever. Maybe Trump wasn't bluffing, and the fact that this is on the White House website, and then Ashton Forbes here has claimed that he has high connections with people in high places. It could be possible. This could very well be true. And if it is, man, that would absolutely change the world forever. I think that maybe Trump needs to put a little bit of this on display, and that would win all of our future wars immediately. But at the same time, maybe he wants to use it as a trump card in case anybody wants to test us over the years. But he gave a little bit of a bluff, to let the world know that we do have stuff that nobody can be able to stop. And if this is the technology that he's talking about, I don't think anybody would ever come close to us. It would take them too long. And by the time that they were able to try to level the playing field, we would have something else going on. Now, like I said, Bob Lazar was working in Area 51 allegedly and said that The UFOs that they reverse engineered were thousands upon thousands of years old. So, if that is the case, and they're able to use some of that technology to, help with the teleportation devices that they have now, that would be crazy. That would be absolutely mind-boggling. But it's possible. It's possible. I wouldn't put anything past it. They were able to split atoms a long time ago. So if they're able to do that, I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to figure out teleportation by now. Nikola Tesla, years and years and centuries ago, was already talking about free energy, free space energy. So all of these things are possible. It's just hard to really grasp how advanced this technology actually is and to really put it into perspective. But if you want to watch this full episode, go to the Benny Show with him and Ashton Forbes. They go into even more details on this. I don't want to keep you here all day, but this is an excellent watch. Definitely worth your time. If you guys like this kind of content, let me know your thoughts down below. I appreciate you for stopping by and watching the Unexplained Outlook. And hey, we'll see what happens in the future. We will see if they actually expose some of this technology to the people. But Ashton Forbes is claiming that this has made planes in the past, you know which one it is, disappear. So if that is the case and everything the White House has been saying is true, man, we are in for some very, very shocking news in the future. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.